Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Franklin and the mountains of Western North Carolina and Northeast Georgia. We are a lay-led congregation of progressive minds and caring connections where all who come with open minds and kind hearts are welcome. My name is Robby Greenberg, and I am pleased to be your service leader today. And I am joined by Jude Lowery, who will be coordinating our Zoom and music, other than Lee Knight, Warren Riley and Bruce Brensma, who are coordinating in-house sound and video. The Zoom box is available, chat box is available for announcements. Those who prefer to focus on the service can close it now and catch up later. UU events that are upcoming: SUSE, Southeast Unitarian Universalist Summer Institute, will be in Cullowhee. It's a week-long, wonderful time with fellow Unitarians and like-minded people, and it's at Western Carolina University in Cullowhee, July 17th. Be sure to check our newsletter, the UU View, for fun and enlightening opportunities to be together. As a reminder, all fellowship activities on Zoom use the same link that you used to join us today for those at home. Are there any announcements in the sanctuary? Yes, Don, you want to come up and announce? In the meantime, while Don is walking up, are there any announcements on Zoom? Please raise your hand so Jude will call on you to share. No announcements on Zoom? Okay, Don.
Just a quick announcement, there's some fresh cut oregano in the back this morning. If you want to take some for your cooking, and there's a couple of bags, just grab some sprints and put them in the bag. You're welcome to it.
And another announcement, here comes Marge.
Okay, I'm up. I just want to remind you that after the service, those of you who are interested in doing something with the Memorial Garden, we're going to have a short meeting. So I guess you can meet with me outside there, and if you're interested in talking about the Memorial Garden and what we might do with it. Thank you.
Any other announcements?
I see.
Is a light
I'm
for
sorry.
religion in the
We have an announcement from Zoom. Paul, you want to unmute yourself? We're on a slower feed than you guys.
The Franklin Farmers Market provides the local community with locally grown and sustainably produced produce. Please come out and enjoy and partake and support your local farmers. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. That seems to be everything from Zoom.
So I repeat, our fellowship is a light for liberal religion in the mountains that values diversity and the richness that it brings to our community. Our celebration of diversity is reflected in the variety of Sunday services. Today we welcome Lee Knight with sermon in song, social action songs from Appalachian women, and that will happen in a few minutes. Our opening words are adapted from Megan Weiser. We gather in community in kindness and comfort. May rough, worn hands and aching backs be healed. We gather in community in hope for equality. May those who labor to survive live to know justice. We gather in community in love and vocation. May our bonds of solidarity be strengthened. We gather in community in courage and in friendship. May we proceed hand in hand towards freedom. And now our chalice lighting. I have virtually lit that chalice. We light this flame to honor all work, including the work of our hands and our backs, in gratitude for all the laborers who support our world, and for all those who boldly continue the work of justice, equality, and peace. And now we will have our opening hymn. Jude.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, give it light, the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving light, the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
As Unitarian Universalists, generosity is one of the spiritual values we recognize as central to our personal and our institutional well-being. We honor donations of time, talent, and treasure, both to our fellowship and to the larger community. And now Lee will play dulcimer. So gifts given in love and hope continue a cycle of love and hope. So may it be. Raised in the Adirondack Mountains of upstate New York, Lee Knight became interested in folk music while in high school. During college, he became familiar with the music and stories of the Southern Appalachian Mountains, as well as the Adirondacks. He wanted to learn the music and stories from traditional sources, people who had them as part of their culture and community for generations. He also collected stories and songs from other parts of the world, including England, Scotland, Central Asia, Colombia, and the Amazon region of Peru. This morning, he will share music of social consciousness he collected from the women or their husbands who worked the coal mines and cotton fields. Lee Knight.
Hey, everybody. It's nice to be with you. The other day, I was talking with a friend of mine, actually the woman I formed a trio with my senior year in high school, and we figured out this year we're celebrating our 60th year of performing. She's still playing the violin and string quartets up in Massachusetts, and I'm down here still doing stuff. So this morning, we're going to take a look at some songs that were written by Appalachian women dealing with some of the hard times of the economic period in the 20s and 30s here in the Southern Appalachians, mainly from the coal fields and the cotton mills. These songs were written by women who'd undergone a great deal of stress. The first one is written by Sara Ogan Gunning. One of her sisters was Aunt Molly Jackson, and one of her brothers was Jim Garland, and all three of them wrote really powerful songs coming out of the coal fields. Aunt Molly Jackson, in one of her interviews, talked about things were so hard, and of course everybody was against the unions, all the sheriff's office and all the police people, and they brought in the National Guard to help put down the union. And things were so difficult that one of the jobs Aunt Molly Jackson had, she was the only one who'd had any nurse training. And from time to time, she'd have to sit up all night protecting babies who had died because dogs were there so hungry they wanted to eat them. Dreadful times. And so Sara Ogan Gunning took a song, and I don't get to sing these songs very often, so I'm going to be reading them as I sing them. I don't like doing that, but it's what I got to do today. Sara Ogan Gunning took the old hymn, Precious Memories, and changed it to Dreadful Memories. And this was written in 1938. Dreadful memories, how they linger, how they ever flood my soul, how the workers and their children die from hunger and from cold. Hungry fathers, wearied mothers, living in these dreadful shacks. Little children, cold and hungry, with no clothing on their backs. Dreadful gun thugs and stool pigeons always flock around our door. What's the crime that we've committed? Nothing, only that we're poor. Dreadful memories, how they linger, how they ever flood my soul. How the workers and their children die from hunger and from cold. When I think of all the heartaches and all the things that we've been through, then I wonder how much longer what a working man can do. Really, friends, it does not matter whether you are black or white. and fight and fight. We will have to join the union. They will help you find a way how to get a better living, and for your work get better pay. Dreadful memories, how they linger, how they ever flood my soul, how the workers and their children die from hunger and from cold. Dreadful Memories, written by Sara, Ogan. This next one's not the greatest song in the world, but it was written by a teenage girl whose father had been assassinated by anti-union people. He was actually walking past the company store and he was shot in the back. His name was Barney Graham, and they came out of Wilder, Tennessee, and the coal fields of East Tennessee. The assassination took place on April 30th in 1933. Della Mae Graham wrote this song. I learned it from a wonderful singer that I recommend to you if you ever get a chance to listen to her. Sadly, she's passed on, but Hetty West was raised in North Georgia, not far from here, and was either the valedictorian or salutatorian at Murphy High School when she graduated from high school. Her father was Don West, who was one of the founders of the Highlander School in Mount Eagle, Tennessee. And if you don't know about Highlander School, learn about it. It's a wonderful, wonderful institution. It's already survived 2 fires, one of them within the last couple of years, of people wanting to put them out of business. Don West went on to become a poet and an activist. He passed away quite a few years ago. And as I said, sadly, his daughter, Hetty West, had a wonderful career as a folk singer. One of my favorites, wonderful singing voice, played the banjo. And it's called The Ballad of Barney Graham, written by Della Mae Graham, his teenage daughter, after he was assassinated. Got a note here, no local preacher was willing to preach his funeral. Divinity students came from Nashville to preach his funeral. On April the 30th, 1933, upon the streets of Wilder, they shot him brave and free. They shot my darling father, he fell upon the ground. 'Twas in the back they shot him, the blood came streaming down. They took the pistol handles and beat him on the head. Hired gunmen beat him till he was cold and dead. This next verse is really heart-wrenching. When he left home that morning, I thought he'd soon return. But for my darling father, my heart shall ever yearn. We carried him to the graveyard, and there we lay him down, to sleep in death for many a year in the cold and sodden ground. Although he left the Union, he tried the best to build. His blood was spilled for justice, and justice raises still. This next one also has kind of a local bent to it. This is called The Mill Mother's Lament, and it was written by Ella Mae Wiggins. Ella Mae Wiggins was raised in East Tennessee, and her father was a logger. And some of the bioinformation that I've been able to find about her was that at one point her father worked in the lumber woods over near Andrews. And if it worked the way it usually did, probably some of Ella Mae's upbringing was over in here in Western North Carolina, over near Andrews. When Ella Mae Wiggins was 18 or 19, she went down to the cotton mills down around Gastonia. A lot of mountain people went to the cotton mills because the cotton mills came up to recruit mountain people. This is back in the late 20s and early 30s, and there'd been a series of droughts up here in the mountains, and mountain people were still growing their own food, and it'd been a really struggle. What was a hard life became even harder. And so the mill owners would send recruiters up here to get people from the mountains to move down into the cotton mills, and they promised them a job, place to live, and a regular income. Sounds good, don't it? So they moved down into the cotton mills, and some of the cotton mills, they really treated the mountain people well. They had nice houses, they had decent food, they had decent hours. But many of them abused their workers. Ella Mae Wiggins worked in a mill where they had 2 shifts a day, each shift 12 hours. So she worked a 12-hour day. She lived in kind of a ramshackle house, and she was not paid in cash money. She was paid in scrip, C-R-I-P, which was a coupon, which was only good at the company store. And I was reading just yesterday, I'm reading some documentaries about the strikes up in Harlan County. One of the interviewees said, you know, we get this scrip and we take it to the company store and we buy meat for $1 a pound, which they sell at Piggly Wiggly for 20 and 30 cents a pound. And it was not unusual in this situation for you to owe money to your employer, which is not a good situation. And many of you, I'm sure, will remember the old Tennessee Ernie Ford song, I owe my soul to the company store. Ella Mae Wiggins had 7 children. 4 of them died of whooping cough. And her husband left her. And so here she is with kids who are being sick and dying. And she asked her foreman if she could work the day shift so she could be at home at night with her kids. One of her daughters especially was ailing. And the foreman said no, she had to work at night. And if her daughter was especially sick, Ella Mae Wiggin would stay home and they would dock her a whole day's pay and shoot her out and threaten to fire her. Really hard times. So the union came in, they started organizing, and one day Ella Mae Wiggin and some of her fellow workers were in the back of a pickup truck, and they were going to Lowery Mills to be in a demonstration. And some gun thugs came up and fired upon the back of that pickup truck. And one of the workers who was killed was Ella Mae Wiggin. One of the assassins was a deputy sheriff. Really hard times for working people. And when you look at the labor history of the Southern Appalachians and the coal fields and the cotton mills, you'll see that whenever law enforcement is called out, whenever the National Guard is called out, they're always called out on the side of the mine owners and the mill owners, never on the side of the workers who are having to live in these deplorable conditions. Ella Mae Wiggins wrote this song, and it was sung at her funeral at the graveside, called Mill Mother's Lament. We leave our homes in the morning, we kiss our children goodbye. While we slave for the bosses, our children scream and cry. And when we draw our money and grocery bills to pay, not a cent to spend for clothing, not a cent to lay away. And on that very evening, our little son will say, I need some shoes, Mother, and so does Sister May. How it grieves the heart of a mother, you everyone must know. But we can't buy for our children our wages are too low. It is for our little children that seem to us so dear. But for us nor them do workers, the bosses do not care. But understand, all workers, our union they do fear. Let's stand together, workers, and we'll have a union here. Mill Mother's Lament, LMA. This next song is a very well-known song. It was written by a woman named Florence Reese in the coal fields of Kentucky in Harlan County. Florence Reese's husband, Sam, they had 7 children. And Sam was a union organizer as well as a coal miner. And one day some gun thugs came to the house. Here we go again, including the sheriff of the county, J.H. Blair. They were looking for Sam Reese because he was a union organizer. They fired shotguns through her window, and she pushed her kids under the bed. And then the thugs came in and tore the house up, looking for Sam Reese and looking for Lord knows what else, just to be disruptive, I suppose. And then when they were finished, they left the house. Sam wasn't there. Florence Reese was so infuriated, she reached up and tore a page off the wall calendar, flipped it over, and wrote this song. It's called Which Side Are You On? I'm sure many of you have heard it. This woman over here has sung it. It's been used in lots of different places. In the coal fields, it was sung down in the cotton mills. It was sung during the Civil Rights Movement. I remember singing it when I was working in the Civil Rights Movement in South Carolina. Anti-war movement's been used for lots of different places. It's a really powerful song, and I thought what I would do for you this morning, I've been singing this song for years, and the version I sing I do know by heart. But I thought what I would do for you this morning is give you a chance to hear Florence Reese's version of it. The song got picked up by the Almanac Singers. I don't know if any of you remember the Almanac Singers, but one of their founders was Pete Seeger. And then Pete kept singing the song after the Almanac Singers and after the Weavers, and sang it around a lot. I had the honor of singing it many times while touring with the Kronos String Quartet right before the pandemic. And we made a recording of Pete Seeger songs, Long Time Passing on Smithsonian Folkways. And it's the lead song on there. And as I say, that version I know by heart, but Florence Reese's version I haven't sung very often, so I'm going to read that for you. In case you're wondering what I'm doing, I have changed the banjo from a major key to a minor key and capoed it up so I can sing it loud enough where you can hear it. Come all of you good workers, good news to you I'll tell of how the good old Union has come in here to dwell. Which side are you on? Which side are you on? That's the chorus, by the way, if you want to sing it with me. You can do it here in the room or even at home on Zoom. Almost rhymed, didn't it? We're starting our good battle, we know we're sure to win, because we got the guns, thugs are looking very thin. Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Remember, J.H. Blair is the sheriff of the county. You go to Harlan County, there is no neutral there. You'll either be a Union man or a thug for J.H. Blair. Which side are you on? Which side are you on? say they have to guard us to educate their child. Their children live in misery, our children almost wild. Which side are you on? Which side are you on? I'm gonna do that verse again, I misread a word. They say they have to guard us to educate their child. Their children live in luxury, our children almost wild. Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Well, gentlemen, can you stand it? Or tell me how you can. Will you be a gun thug or will you be a man? Which side are you on? Which side are you on? My daddy was a miner. He's now with the Air and Sun. That meant he was blacklisted. If you joined the union, they sent a list of names around to all the coal companies so they knew that you were a union sympathizer. My daddy was a miner. He's now with the Air and Sun. He'll be with you fellow workers till every battle's won. Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Now all of you know which side you are on, and they will never, ever, ever keep us down. Which side are you on? 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 Any questions? When I was working on this week, it just, yeah. And also this week, my friends, the Kronos Quartet, their new recording came out, and it's about My Lai, and talking about the massacre there. And I started listening to it right after I'd read, I made myself read the little biographies of the 19 children and 2 teachers. And I'm heartbroken. And then there's this description. I got halfway through the CD and had to turn it off. Yeah. Hard times. Hard times. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, hi. You mentioned that these were written by these women.
Yeah.
Is that just the lyrics or the music as well?
The music is usually taken from hymns, is where most of the tunes came from. Which Side Are You On came from a hymn. Of course, Dreadful Memories came from a hymn. And I know the one that Ella Mae Graham wrote about her father, that came from a hymn. So they used, yeah, yeah. And I'm sure with Florence Reese's scent, she was just so damn angry she wasn't gonna write a tune. She just wanted to get those words down and then found a way to sing it, and they worked out really well. What a powerful song, you know. Yeah. But these are just amazing women. They're very strong. In the coal fields, they were, of course, wives. Women were not allowed to go into the mines in those days. Black people weren't allowed to go in the mines either. But in the cotton mills, they liked to hire women and girls because they worked cheaper than men did. Plus, their fingers, in some cases, could work the machines better than a man's could. So they liked to hire women in the cotton mills. You know.
These songs live beyond these women and that time?
Well, I think you might be able to answer that for me. It's because they're so powerful, and sadly, they still have relevance. Yeah, I cried when I started the Della Mae I forgot her name. I'm getting old. Della Mae Graham. That verse about when he left home this morning after Texas. Woo! Yeah, that nailed me. Which Side Are You On is a very inspirational song, and many, many people have done it, and and plus they're singable. Which side are you on? Which side are you on? And you can sing them while you're marching, and you can sing them in the Union Hall and anywhere. And that has some of it. The Ballad of Barney Graham is very rare now. It's only been recorded the one time, and so you don't hear that very much. But the Ella Mae Wiggins one is, again, that's another one that just grabs your heartstrings.
I definitely believe that they're powerful, but I guess I was just wondering about the like day-to-day logistics of how a song that someone who is maybe only known in their immediate community and doesn't, how does that song get beyond that community?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
They had,
Well, and
they must have just started singing it. Someone must have started singing it
Oh, yeah.
a lot of the time.
Oh, yeah, yeah. There were a number of investigations into Harlan County, and John Dos Passos was one of the people who came down, and some other writers, and they would bring these songs out. Somewhere along the line, Pete Seeger found it and fell in love with it and realized how powerful it was, so that's what kept that song going. The Mill Mother's Lament, there are hundreds of people like me. We sing for small audiences like here, but we keep singing them, and people keep hearing them, and people keep picking them up. And I hope people are picking them up from me and people my age and are keeping them going. But they just touch your heart and make you angry. Like.
We have another question over here.
Yes.
They had people who traveled and sung.
Mm-hmm.
That's how the songs, one of the main ways they got around was that they had somebody just like you, maybe not as talented, but with a little old banjo or something that traveled through the communities, and they sung for themselves. Get all the community together, and they'll sing for you, and you give them a night's lodging and a supper. And that where troubadours come from?
That's where troubadours come from, and they sang them in their churches, especially Which Side Are You On? Dreadful Memories would have been sung in churches with a wry grin on their face because it was more real to them than Precious Memories. Yeah, and I had another thought in there, but it's disappeared, as thoughts will do.
Hi there. We have a question on Zoom from Paul.
Hi, Lee. I really enjoyed it. One of our members, former members, Lara, performed a monologue by Gary Carden on Mother Jones, her life. And that was one of the songs that was part of that monologue, was Whose Side Are You On? And we traveled to Seattle, and she did the monologue along with the Seattle Labor Chorus. I just wondered if you were familiar with them and whether you knew Gary Carden and the piece that he wrote about Mother Jones.
It's ironic that you mention that, because this is the very building where I heard Gary do that program, and he gave me a copy of his script, which I have in my records. Yeah, and you did it. You do it in this building? I'm sorry, I don't remember your name. Lara. And I don't know if you can get a camera on her or not. She looks like Mother Jones. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I do know of those, and yeah, I've known Gary for many, many years.
Do we have
He's
any other?
recently done something about the men who were killed, drowned when they were building the tunnel.
Building the tunnel for the railroad, yeah, on the Tuckasegee River. Yeah, for those of you who couldn't hear, she was talking, Gary has done a program when they were building the Murphy line on the railroad, Western Carolina Railroad. Some men were working in a tunnel, and the river flooded, Tuckasegee River, and they were drowned because their camp was on one side of the river and the tunnel was on the other. And Pardon?
Yeah, they were.
Oh, yeah, yeah, that railroad was built by convicts, yeah. Yeah.
One thing you might be interested in that he's working on, he is, or supposedly, I haven't talked to him in a while, but he was contracted to do one on women, women in the South.
Ah,
And so, you know.
there's a lot of them to do it on.
Singing would go along really well with that.
Yeah. If you haven't been there, there's a wonderful museum down in Dillsboro devoted to Appalachian women. It's down in Dillsboro, right alongside a couple of really nice restaurants. Nice place to go for lunch. Yeah. Any other questions?
Any other questions on Zoom?
Robbie?
Let's do your closing song and then we'll have our closing words.
Speaking of Pete Seeger. Pete Seeger is a hero of mine, and I was blessed to have been able to spend some time with him, had conversations with him. Wow, what a wonderful man to talk with. Played on a number of programs with him. I was remembering coming over here, the last filmed interview that he did was on a documentary about Adirondack folk music, and after he died, they decided to put it as an addendum on there, and I'm playing the banjo underneath it. Can you imagine that? I'm playing the banjo under Pete Seeger's last filmed interview. And it's this song, but I'm playing it very slowly. So Pete wrote the melody, the chorus, the first verse, and the last verse. I wrote the second verse and the third verse. It's called Well May the World Go. And it's got a chorus. Your part. Well may the world go, the world go, the world go. Well may the world go when I'm far away. Well may the world go, the world go, the world go. Well may the world go when I'm far away. Try it with me. Here we go. Well may the world go, the world go, the world go. Well may the world go when I'm far away. Well may the skiers turn, the swimmers churn, the lovers burn. Peace may the generals learn when I'm far away. Well may the world go, the world go, the world go. Well may the world go when I'm far away. Well may the fiddle sing, the banjo ring, the dancers swing. Sweet may the peace bells ring when I'm far away. Well may the world go, the world go, the world go. Well may the world go when I'm far away. Well may the children wish, the lovers kiss, the anglers fish. May old timers reminisce when I'm far away. Well may the world go, the world go, the world go. Well may the world go when I'm far away. Sweet may the breezes blow, clear may the streams flow, blue above and green below, and I'm far away. Well may the world go, the world go, the world go. Well may the world go when I'm far away. Well may the world go, the world go, the world go. Well may the world go when I'm far away. Woo!
Thank you, Lee.
You are welcome.
Our closing words are a few quotes from Pete Seeger, a proud Unitarian Universalist, if you did not know. Songs are funny things. They can slip across borders, proliferate in prisons, penetrate hard shells. I always believed that the right song at the right moment could change history. Second quote. It's been my belief that learning how to do something in your hometown is the most important thing. I want to turn the clock back to when people lived in small villages and took care of each other. Last quote. I feel most spiritual when I'm in the woods. I feel part of nature or looking up at the stars. I used to say I was an atheist. Now I say it's all according to your definition of God. According to my definition of God, I'm not an atheist because I think God is everything. Whenever I open my eyes, I'm looking at God. Whenever I'm listening to something, I'm listening to God. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. In days of yore, we circled the sanctuary and joined hands for our closing circle and covenant. For now, we will join together in spirit as we recite our covenant together. Love is the spirit of this fellowship, and community is its goal. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. May it be so. We now finish our recording